Hello, I'm Mark Foster on the HOA Leadership Network. Welcome to another edition of HOA Today. Well, many of our board leaders in our network are telling us that finding the right internet solution for their properties tends to be a bit of a struggle. So we hear it all the time at our chapter meetings because residents are demanding more and better services for their HOAs on internet. And HOAs and multifamily properties, as we all know, can really benefit from a standard internet service if it is done well and done right. But where to start seems to be the main question. Well, here to answer some of the more common questions on internet services for HOAs is Joe Berg. Joe is president of DataStream, one of our great Egan sponsors. Hey, Joe, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Joe, I think a lot of people probably don't understand what DataStream does. So describe the role of DataStream in HOAs and in multifamily properties when it comes to safe and reliable internet service.
So DataStream is an internet service provider that primarily focuses on multifamily space. And when in the multifamily space, there is a lot of things that come into play when you're talking about internet service. But the main thing that people don't realize is that there's significant cost structure that goes into it, as well as a lot of other parameters that need to be focused on, like the infrastructure, what type of systems and services are already in place, and or contracts and other things that truly did take a lot of time and discovery. And so we pride ourselves on being able to simplify that entire process, as well as make one streamlined solution for the property.
Well, I would think you've got some pretty big technical challenges too. I mean, consistent speeds, reliability, those are all things everyone looks for. And now as you come in to some of these multifamily properties and HOAs, you've got different ages of buildings, you've got different infrastructure. How do you handle all that? What are some of the biggest technical challenges in all of that?
Well, a lot of the properties that we see, there's existing infrastructure that may not be up to spec, or needs adjusting or changing, or in some cases, we're coming in and completely post-wiring the property, depending upon what the current infrastructure type and or quality is. But as far as the technical piece, we really try to resolve that by providing new, better equipment, that are Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 7 type devices, and or, bringing traditionally what people would call high-speed internet, but really it's high-speed symmetrical service by bringing in fiber. And there's many different ways and many different flavors that can be delivered in. And so truly it all starts with just doing an initial discovery meeting with the leaders of that property, and have our team come out and do a site survey so that we can gather as much information as we need, and then we will custom tailor and build a design, specifically for that property, and which in turn makes the deployment that much easier as well, because we can gather all that information on the forefront versus providing some estimates and proposals, and then coming back after the fact and say, well, we didn't see this or we didn't see that. We really want to take that time to dig in and figure out exactly what's needed.
So it sounds like you can really get the solution to fit depending on the infrastructure and what you do discover during that sort of discovery process, right? So as you're doing all of that, we do hear from members a lot about cybersecurity, data privacy, network security risks. So all of these things are top of mind now. So what are some of the risks that you're seeing, and how do you mitigate them?
One of the main concerns that I have right now is there's a lot of multifamily providers that are out there that are called managed service providers. Those managed service providers are bringing service in what's more like a hotel-esque type network. Meaning they are going, so let's say it's a condo environment, they're going to put wireless access points spread all throughout the property that now everybody can connect to. that's not the way you want to get your internet service. Internet service should definitely be segmented and segregated, where we, tend to take an individual feed to each individual unit, as well as provide a dedicated router slash firewall for each unit so that now the network is completely segregated, and then our automation systems are kind of doing some other magic, if you will, in the background for any additional DDoS type events or any other potential attacks, if you will, that could happen on the network. Our network is completely co-located, as well as we are the ones that are managing and controlling it, just like any other service provider, where managed service providers typically do not have that capability. They are going to be getting whatever feed that they have from whatever provider, and now just doing exactly that, managing it. So there's a big difference there that people definitely want to keep an eye out on, and make sure you're doing some diligence on the companies that are approaching you in services.
Yeah, it's a big concern. Cybersecurity, data privacy, that really has been top of mind for a lot of our members. Now, when it comes to uptime, Joe, response times, all of that, are there service level agreements that HOAs can negotiate to guarantee those things?
Yes, there are definitely a lot of providers that do not include that in their contracts or agreements. We make sure that we do, meaning that any agreement that we provide, whether it's bulk or whether it's a standard retail agreement, there's a service level agreement in there that's written into where if you have outages or downtime, that within, say, an 8 to 12 hour window, we're going to have that resolved. As well as the customer service or response, meaning if you have any sort of internet related issue, when you contact our call center, within an hour, that issue gets addressed, whether it's remotely or virtually. And then if need be, if a technician needs to come out, it's same day, if not next day. The main things that, we want to make sure that we're keeping an eye on here is, internet is a lifeblood for a lot of people, as well as it's just as important as having running water or electricity in your home. And so we want to make sure that you're having a consistent, reliable connection.
Right. You and I have talked before how it's really become, seen as a utility, and that
Yes,
internet
absolutely.
service very much is that way. So when you look at structuring the cost for an HOA, I know here in Lakeville in my HOA, we actually have it included in the price of the HOA monthly fee. So it's essentially an amenity, just like having their driveways plowed and their yards mowed. This is a service that is included. Are you able to also do that as a direct bill to residents if the board decided to do it that way?
Yes, or we have also what we call a hybrid approach, where there can be a percentage of it that's covered by the HOA, as well as percentage that's covered by the owner slash resident. But majority of our properties are enrolling in exactly what you just mentioned, Mark, where it's a bulk solution that's included as an amenity or included in the HOA dues. Um, so there's many different ways that it can be done, and there's no one size fits all for all properties, and so we always take a one-off approach, if you will, to each
Yeah.
property, because the property types vary so much.
Sure, there is a lot of variation there, and it sounds like there is some flexibility. So I'm sure that will be music to a lot of board leaders' ears. So volume discounts, incentives. One of the things that we have to our advantage as an HOA are those bulk billing type agreements. What types of volume discounts and incentives could occur in HOAs and multifamily buildings?
All of our financial models are set up to where gives you a volume-based discount, whether it's, say, from 50 to 100 units, 101 plus units, so on and so forth. We have that standard built into all of our existing pricing structures. But going forward with a lot of other property management companies that we are working with, and or property ownership groups, If there is, let's say, multiple buildings or multiple properties that are being committed, we also take that into consideration. So some of the larger property management companies that we're working with right now are already, taking advantage of that.
All right. In relation to negotiations, when HOAs do start the process of the request for proposal or RFP, how far in advance should this all begin in order to have service start on a particular date or in a particular year?
It really does vary, but we typically say, 12 months, somewhere in that range, 18 months out. That's probably the best time to start, that discovery process. Allows ample time for us to do what we need to do as far as the initial discovery, as well as get it planned and put into existing construction schedules. But it can be as quickly as somewhere between say 6 to 8 weeks. Typically takes as long as it takes in order to get permits pulled and things like that. But definitely want to be proactive. 12 to 18 months is a good rule of thumb.
So once all this gets set up, Joe, how easy is it for residents to sign up, manage their account? People have support needs. How easy is all of that?
Well, again, if we're talking as a whole, with multiple providers, it can be somewhat cumbersome. We have tried to make that process very, very simple by creating an instant on approach, or what we call data stream on. What that is where, let's say it's a condo environment, we put a CPE/router in each unit, with a custom QR code. That QR code now is designated for that unit specifically. So when somebody scans that QR, it automatically takes them to our website, automatically logs their address, automatically logs their unit number, as well as shows only the plans or pricing that's available for that designated property. So if the property is enrolled in, say, a bulk 500 meg plan, they would see it at $0. And now they simply just finish that sign up process. And once they hit submit, automatically provisions, automatically is on, automatically sends welcome emails, stating that they have set up their account, and away they go. So that also can take place in townhome environments, so that as you have churn, somebody moves out, moves back in, it's automatically on and active for them, so that no technician or truck roll is required.
Well, and of course, with all of that, boards are also going to wonder, like with any contract, are there clauses that can be included or options that if the service is unsatisfactory or residents just don't want it anymore, or just some conditions change, what sort of exit or termination options are there available to HOAs?
All standard agreements would typically have a 30-day cure period with it. So if there is some sort of issue or some sort of breach, if you will, that's happened, typically we allow 30 days for that provider to cure that issue. And if it's all satisfactory, then from there, things continue status quo. But we pride ourselves again on trying to make this as simple and seamless as possible, as well as supported throughout the entire duration of the term. And so ideally, we would never get to that point, but we do have standard termination clauses in our agreements that so that way it's beneficial for both sides. We don't we don't want to be that pirate, if you will, coming in and taking over and not finishing it and facilitating what we promised, if you will.
Exactly. Well, it seems like it's a great solution, Joe. It seems like the technology has really improved and enhanced, and that HOAs can really take advantage of what's available for them. Joe Berg, president of DataStream, thank you so much for joining us, Joe.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And please be sure to visit our website at HOALNET.com. You can join as a member of our network free and attend any of our chapter meetings that are coming up. I'm Mark Foster. This is HOA Today on the HOA Leadership Network.